What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jason here at the Cowpot Bros. Come let you guys know that the date for the anniversary episode has been set, and it's going to be Thursday, April the 21st, episode 53. Mark your calendars down for that. It's going to be a good show, and the main thing is we want to hear from you. So make sure you continue to send us your messages via cowpotbros.com, the message button there, cowpotbros@gmail.com, 405-877-BROS, or just hit us up on social media and let us know what you thought about the first year of the Cowpot Bros, what you liked, didn't like, favorite moments, favorite segments, what have you. Make sure you get those to us by Thursday, April the 14th, the week before. So make sure we have it in time to get it in for the show, okay? And no matter what, make sure you remember this. When it comes to all things Cowpot Bros, make sure you like us, love us, share us, and follow us. Because if you like us, why wouldn't you?
Welcome back to Cowpot Bros. Jason and I are fresh off the segment discussing Kanye West's manic behavior, I think we can call it that, and how that behavior has resulted in him being banned from performing at the Grammys, at least this year. In this third segment, I'm going to be talking about the amount of aid pledged to Ukrainian government. I'm referencing an article from NPR with journalist Elena Moore. Biden pledges $800 million to Ukraine after Zelensky's plea for more U.S. aid. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered an impassioned plea to the United States Congress on Wednesday morning for additional support and for President Biden to spearhead the world's defense of Ukraine. While Zelensky delivered the majority of his speech in Ukrainian with an English interpreter, his remarks in English addressed Biden directly. "You are the leader of the nation, of your great nation," Zelensky said. "I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace." Biden responded hours later, thanking Zelensky for his address and pledging to send an additional $800 million to Ukraine to boost security measures. This is in addition to the $200 million in military aid to Ukraine Biden sent on Sunday. Wednesday's aid package includes 800 anti-aircraft systems, 9,000 shoulder-mounted anti-armor missile systems to destroy tanks, 7,000 small arms, guns, grenade launchers, 20 million rounds of ammo, drones, etc., and etc. This sounds like some shit we probably should have sent them like a month ago.
Oh, you wanted me to follow up on that?
Yeah.
I mean, look, so obviously I found this article here with the headline, $800 million of aid going to Ukraine. And I probably had the initial reaction like everybody had. We sent $800 million to Ukraine. And obviously we all flipped out realizing, how much money what that money could have done here in the United States. Biden's crazy, blah, 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 blah. Some people still think that. But then obviously you read the article and realize, it wasn't $800 million. It was $800 million of weapons. So then you calm down a little bit, at least for me anyway. I'm like, okay.
I don't calm down at that because first off, the United States of America makes priorities every day of the week. They determine, and that I mean the government, your elected representatives, your executive branch, your legislative branch, your judicial branch makes decisions every day, and they say, here's what's important to us. And so I don't think necessarily sending aid to a foreign country indicates that priorities at home aren't priorities. However, if you've basically decided that, yeah, we're just going to forget about all the other election promises or initiatives related to any domestic policy in terms of, student loan relief, economic initiatives to, bring some of these states back from the brink due to COVID, then I can see why people feel a certain way. And it's not that the government can't walk and chew gum at the same time. It's just the government has kind of decided they're not going to do it on certain shit, and that's why people.
Well, I think it's more, to be honest with you, I agree with you that obviously it's really just when people were thinking of the dollar amount, like sending money over there, it was really the dollar amount, right? Because they sent, say, 8 million. Well, even that would have been bad. Let's say they sent $80,000 of money over there. Nobody probably would have said a whole lot, but because of 800 million, that's what they freaked out about. Now, what I was saying about when it comes to me calming down is there's a reaction of them sending $800 million, what I thought at the time over there, versus 800 million bucks worth of weapons. And initially, I'd say I was calmed down, realizing, okay, that's not as bad. But the same premise, though, could still be, thought of by people because, yes, it's not money, but it's still $800 million of our weaponry sent over to another country that's not had nothing to do with the United States. And obviously, we're not getting these things back. It's not a loan. They're not bringing these tanks or whatever, these missiles back to us. Like, yeah, you know what? We didn't use them. Here you go. That's not.
Hey
Yeah,
man, let me get
exactly.
that
That's not going to
tomahawk
happen.
back.
And folks, it definitely. And by the way, there's a full list on whitehouse.gov of everything itemized in regards to what was sent over there. It's a pretty interesting list of stuff. Um, yeah, I had fun reading it. It's pretty interesting. But again, same premise though, and a lot of people have the same opinion. It's like, one, we could use those weapons for when we need it, because obviously this stuff has to be replaced in our inventory, which is extra money to be spent on replacing these things in our own inventory. We could have just kept what we had, right? And then obviously people want to say, which is kind of the argument you were making about when it comes to priorities. People are throwing out, this is just an example, one example, not encompassing the only thing people said. But people saying examples like, we can't even protect our own borders, but you're sending money over this other country, blah 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 blah. And that seems to be the opinions people have. Essentially, that those resources would have been not necessarily better used here, because I agree with you. Not like they're using this, again, money wise. Not that they're not prioritizing anything else, but that's what people see. They're giving away these weapons to this other country that's not related to the U.S. in any way whatsoever. I mean, it's not like you're sending weapons to Puerto Rico or something. So that's a lot of opinion that people had. Just kind of following people's opinions about this on social media, which I know is the dangerous thing, but people are still putting their opinions out there. I tried to find actual articles about, legitimate articles about people's opinions about it, and I really didn't find anything out there about it. I was kind of surprised by that, frankly. Um, but yeah, those are kind of my initial thoughts and reactions to when I first saw that, and what prompted me to put it in our hopper in the first place.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking at this like, listen, when the president Zelensky is saying to President Biden, "Hey, you want to be, representing the entire world. You want to basically direct or recommend what other countries should be doing. Then you got to earn the right to be the big dog." And what he's basically saying is, "Hey, I appreciate what you're doing for me in the meanwhile, but what I really need is this level of support." Okay, and so that's why I mentioned, I'm like, okay, I see, air support. I see, some anti-tank support. I'm like, that's great. Problem is, we known this shit was going to kick off like probably at least 2 months ago at this point, if not sooner.
Now, I guess to say, though, also, because I know we talked about in general about the Russia-Ukraine conflict a couple episodes ago, and I think I even mentioned then that now there is a difference. I get that. Biden mentioned that he had no plan of sending like our troops over there to fight with Ukraine, only under certain guidelines, basically like NATO territory, stuff like that. Which also people like to hear that, but I still even think I mentioned in that episode, like, where's the line? Like, okay, he's saying that now. What's going to make him change his mind on that? Now, again, sending all these weapons over there is not the same as sending actual living individuals from our country over there. It's not the same. I get that. But is stuff like this like a stepping stone to say, yeah, you know what? This thing's been going on over there for now like 4, 5, 6 months now. It's starting to hurt us a little bit. Let's send some guys over there just to see if they can help out a little bit. You know? So where's that line? Because again, it's not actual money, but that's still a lot of resources to send somewhere that we're not really getting a benefit from it. And I know everybody's going to say, yes, it is. It's helping us this way, helping us this how. I get that. But still, so that's kind of what I wonder is where's the line with this? Is there going to be more down the road? Like if it's still going on in 2 months, are we going to send more resources over there? Because sending $1 billion of resources over there is still $1 billion of resources, whether it's money or not. That's still a lot of stuff, bro. A lot, which are going to have to be replaced.
It's a good point. It's a good point. That's a good point. But we have more of it than anybody else. So I listen. It's one of those things. It's one of those things when it feels like whatever we sent over there was
Well, I'll
probably
put
a
it this
drop in
way.
the bucket.
I remember when I was a little kid, or not a little kid, but basically when I was an adolescent, going all the way through high school, there was a church we went to in Calumet Park, Illinois. It was called Community Covenant Church. The pastor there had a saying, and not that he's the one who created it, but that's where I first heard it at least. He always said that it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Now, I do agree with you that we probably have a lot more in stock. I don't want to say drop in the bucket. That's, I think that kind of trivialized it a little bit. But with that being said, I'd rather hang on to it and not need it than to give it to somebody else wishing we need it later. And no disrespect to Ukraine and what they're going through. I get it. I'm not trying to seem like a unemotional individual. But again, looking at the list of all the stuff they sent, now the hand grenades and rifles, okay. But some of the the airstrike stuff is like, come on, bro, really? Like, where's the line with that? That's a little much, bro. I mean,
I don't even think it's a little much. I'm saying, well, shit. If you're going to do all this, you probably should have done it already.
yeah, well, maybe, yeah, I guess. But again, that kind of goes to my point. Maybe they didn't never had any intention up until when they put all this stuff in motion to give them this much aid. But maybe they saw what's going on. It's like, you know what, let's help out a little bit, and that may be the case. What you just said earlier may be the case. Maybe they saw that video from Zelensky. I think it's the president over there asking for more. Hey, thanks for what you're doing, but we need you to be up here a little bit with your assistance. So with that again, who's to say that Zelensky doesn't send out another video in 2 months because it's still going on? Hey, you know what? Thanks for all that stuff you sent us. It came in handy, but we didn't use it up already. We need more.
Yeah, I'm not even going to think in terms of
Well,
what the hell this
it's a
conflict
conflict,
looks like in
war,
two
whatever you want
months.
to call it, and obviously there's no predicated end to it. It's over whenever somebody says I give up and I quit and I'll stop. And I don't see Ukraine doing that. So
yeah, and I don't feel like Russ is doing it anytime soon either.
right, and that's the whole point. Yeah, I hope it doesn't still continue for 2 more months. I hope it ends tomorrow or right now. But like I said, again, not to consider it a world war yet, but just the wars that happen in our own country, we know they didn't last just only 2 months. So
yeah, yeah, I'm a little uneasy with it, not because of any ethical concerns. It seems like, oh, well, here's a great way to help 2 months ago. And, having, I understand why, politically we're not making a stronger effort to be involved in this conflict. But I kind of feel like once Russia decided to overtake a whole damn country, that that the die was cast, and basically we couldn't be Switzerland anymore, man.
well, like I mentioned in that episode before, even Switzerland's not Switzerland. They're taking a stance, somewhat stance against Russia too. But again, that brings up another line. Like I said, well, maybe the same line I was talking about earlier is okay. Where's your line when it comes to involvement? You know what I mean? Because again, the State of the Union address was only on March 1st, so it wasn't that long ago. He says the involvement was no troops are going to be going over there. He didn't mention anything about aid at that point, but I think at that point it was obviously in the works. But
Right.
again, 2 months ago, I hear you, but maybe 2 months ago, Maybe they didn't want to get involved at all.
I think 2 months ago they knew they
Maybe.
were going to have to get involved. I mean, you can say you don't want to get involved all you want. You
Maybe
were
that's
going to
part
have
of
to
it
do
too.
something.
Is obviously obviously they get all that money earmarked. It's probably a process to get it done, paperwork wise. Allowance reasons, stuff like that. So maybe it took 2 months. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I'm sure Biden just can't wake up and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna send this money over there. Cool, get it done." Probably not how it works. So maybe the inkling came up in January, and I think it kind of did. But processes are here. Since it's not technically our emergency, you know what I mean? I'm sure they have things in place for if we're actually at war. I'm sure they can get stuff done a lot quicker. But since we're not, again, pointing out that we're not political experts and we're not a political show, but just saying. So, today is what, March the 22nd. So we'll see where things are next week, 2 weeks, month, 2 months, and go from there. But don't be surprised, folks, if it's still going on and we get more involved. We may be talking about this again in a future episode.
Yeah. All right. That concludes our segment on the amount of Ukraine financial support that the Biden administration has been willing to commit to. Coming up next, we'll wrap up the show.